Harmony Island by Anne-Marie Meyer.
Okay.
You want to know what makes me so mad? Okay, I figured it out. I figured out what makes me so mad about books like this. I can 100% give grace to indie authors for any typos, for any like weird things that might be in it, quirky things that might be in it. I can give grace to that because they're doing it by themselves. They're doing great. You're doing great, indie authors. Keep it up. This one is from a USA Today best-selling author.
Okay.
When I talk about this, you're going to see why this pisses me off so much.
And it feeds normal people.
Worse. This is a truly madly deeply situation.
They have a taco. I kept it.
No, thank goodness, but it's still bad. It reads like a soap opera.
Oh God,
a bad one.
Aren't they all?
Yeah, true. Books like these feed into my delusion that I could write a book. And because she's a USA Today best-selling author. Okay, so let's get into it. Let me pull up the synopsis. I'm already so mad. I'm like shaking. I'm so mad. Let's see. Where are you at? There you are. It's the moment that Harmony Island has been waiting for, the reading of Charlotte Kane's will. After I returned to my small hometown 6 months ago to attend my estranged grandmother's funeral, I swore I would never go back. That is, until my grandmother's lawyer calls me up. If I don't return to Harmony Island and fulfill my grandmother's stipulations, the generationally owned family inn will be turned over to the state and sold off to the highest bidder, my grandmother's rival and mother to the man who broke my heart, Missy Willis. I'm not sure I'm strong enough to return home, but I also know I can't let Miss Willis win. So I pack up my belongings and head to North Carolina. I'm determined to stay distant, living in the small cottage next to the inn, and keep my head down. But in a small town where everyone knows your name, that becomes difficult. Soon my past catches up with me, and I'm faced with the history I've buried for so long. Just when I reach my breaking point, Miles, the single dad living at the inn, swoops into my life to rescue me. He was my protector in my childhood, my enemy in my teenage years, and now I'm not so sure, especially when his love for his daughter is contagious, or the way he looks at me when he doesn't know I see him. I'm so confused and I want to run away like I did in the past, but I can't. And when Miles touches me like that, I don't want to. Luckily, I have a friend in Abigail, the local bookstore owner. She's one of the only residents who don't know about my past and seems to be looking for the same thing I am, a place to belong. The inn at Harmony Island is chock full of romance, redemption, and forgiveness. Here's what the description doesn't tell you. Miles is her ex-stepbrother. Yes! Yes!
No!
Right out the gate.
No!
Right out the gate. Ex-stepbrother.
Oh,
Their
God.
parents got married.
It's
and then they got
immediately
divorced.
ruined.
Immediately.
Okay.
And from the preface, this is not a spoiler or anything. From the preface, I was like, I was getting the vibe that they had something going on, and I was like, what is happening? Because I was like, okay, maybe it's just written weird.
Right.
And it's just they've got a strained relationship.
Right.
Like, not that there's any sexual tension, but that there's tension between them where he stuck around in town and she did not.
Okay.
So that's what I was hoping for. But then it made it very plain that he was in love with her. And, like, that was not and he had been in love with her.
Oh, God.
He had been in love with her.
I mean, I'm trying to think, like, if I was around a guy every day, literally every day for years, and I knew that, I don't know, but you're viewing them as...
Exactly. As a brother.
Which I guess that we wouldn't understand because, our parents
are,
we've
never been in the situation.
Right. We live in a double parent home.
Yes.
So...
But that's still... Like, I immediately got the ick. But it was the only thing that I had to read at the moment because I was driving. And it actually timed out perfectly with the length of my drive. And so I was like, fine, I'll read it. That way I can talk knowledgeably on how much I hate this. And I'm so glad that I did because I am angry.
Jeez.
Okay. I will. Okay. This book was almost as bad as Air of Blood and Moonlight.
Oh, no.
The thing that saved it from being on the same level was the lack of smut. It had barely
Thank
any
God.
spice.
Thank God.
Just a whole lot of poor writing. You remember the poor writing?
Is Heir of Blood and Moonlight going to be on all of our bottom
More than
5?
likely. I'm going to be unless we just start pulling dud after dud after dud. I think it will be. But you know how, besides all the smut and everything, you know how it was just poor writing in general? Like, so many plot holes and so many things were wrong. This book had all of that as well.
Lord.
So I'll start with something small. These people ate bananas like they were going to go out of style.
My child.
Every single scene, somebody was eating a banana. In the grocery store.
In the grocery store?
Yes.
I mean, a couple grapes is fine, people.
But a whole banana?
That's weird.
That's so weird. And at one point,
Because don't they measure bananas like how much?
like weight?
Yeah. So you're stealing.
I think they might have brought it in and just like she was eating it, like they brought it from their house. But still, that's weird to be in a grocery store eating a banana.
That is weird.
Okay, so then at one point, one of the characters took a loud bite out of banana. How do you take a
How do you take a loud bite out of a banana other than like? And that is like a big pet peeve of mine.
Yeah, exactly.
Huge
I
pet peeve.
was like, how do you? I don't understand. That doesn't make any sense. Let's see. Another minor infraction. A side character, the lawyer reading the will. The character's name was Tom Holland. Tom Holland.
Can you only picture Tom Holland? Was he supposed to look like
No.
Tom Holland?
No, he was this middle-aged man that was balding and had a little bit of a belly to him. Like, it was not...
That's not my Tom Holland.
No, that is not my Tom...
Yeah.
That man would not be in Men's Health. That man definitely wouldn't have Zendaya. Okay, so now let's get into the deeper things.
Okay.
That are my evidence for thinking I could write a book. It's not the minor infractions anymore. This is big stuff. There were 3 points of view, but only 2 main storylines. So we got both points of view from one storyline and 1 point of view from a second storyline.
Okay.
Okay, so you know how a lot of times with these books, think of the Dreamland Billionaire series.
Yes.
The Twisted series.
Right.
You get one couple's entire story.
Right.
We got half of 2 couple stories.
Oh.
And they're stretching it out.
Okay.
She's stretching it out into additional books. That way, instead of the correct way of focusing on a couple at a time.
Yeah.
It's all like simultaneous. And the fact that it's like, why not get the other point of view as well with the other couple? That's weird. It's weird. It's stupid. It's stupid is what it is. Let's see. Yes. Already felt weird in the preface because I was already getting the vibe that these two were the love interests, and it was weird because they grew up together as step-siblings. In the first chapter, I got the ick because she had moved from her small southern town to New York City to make it big as a wedding planner.
Okay.
And she was trying to disguise her accent so no one would know where she came from.
Girl, you got to use that to your advantage.
Exactly. Do you know how much people love a good southern accent?
Literally.
Like,
do you know how often I thicken my southern accent if I want to get my way?
Oh, yeah. And it works.
Use it to your advantage.
Yes.
I'm like, hey, I was just wondering.
Hey, darling. You know, like, yeah, you got to lean into it sometimes. You know when to lean into it.
Yeah.
You'll get what you want.
Oh, yeah.
And so for them to act...
Older Southern men... Gets them every time.
Every single time.
Every time.
Yeah.
That is true feminism right here, this conversation.
Exactly. Knowing how to use our femininity and what we've got at our disposal to get our way.
Right.
We can literally get anything that we want.
I love manipulating men.
I love it. It's so great. How do you think I got my husband? But yeah, so the fact that the way that she's writing it is like it's like it's a bad thing that she's got a southern accent, that she's from the South. Like,
first of all, that's offensive.
Yes. I'm greatly offended because I love coming from the South.
Yeah.
I love being from the South. I tell everyone everywhere we go because it's always, y'all from the South? Yeah, we're from Tennessee. Like, it's
East
the
Tennessee,
best.
we love the
East
Vols.
Tennessee. Heck yeah. Go Vols. You know? So that pissed me off to a
Yeah.
whole new level because I'm from the South. She ends up getting fired because they want to give her position to this socialite that is never mentioned again, by the way.
Okay.
And Shelley thinks this is the end of her career as a wedding planner. So... her plan to secure her standing in the wedding planning community is to fake date a well-known athlete that is looking for a fake date to a wedding later to make his ex jealous. So my mind goes from thinking the love story is going to be her and her ex-step-brother-in-law to a fake relationship trope with this athlete. And I can tell you, I breathed a sigh of relief with that because I was like, thank God. That's when I was like, okay, so it's just tension where they haven't seen each other in a while and not tension, not sexual tension.
Right.
Except I got the biggest ick from this athlete. Like, it was as icky as the ex-stepbrother vibe. Yeah, it was disgusting. Like, he's just so cringe.
As someone who has dated multiple athletes,
It was so
right.
cringe.
It's so right, though. A lot of times they think they're bigger than they are.
Yes, exactly.
I'm like, dude, you play for a community college.
I mean, this guy was big time, but like, it's not. That doesn't stop him from being like.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't make it any better. It doesn't excuse whenever he grabbed the back of her hand in public as a show and like kissed the back of her.
Could never be me.
Yeah, no. But because it's not the stepbrother, it's still cringe.
Right.
So I was like, God, please let this get better. And spoiler alert, it does not. She leaves the city to go back home and go see the lawyer about her grandmother's will, specifically the inn she owned. Shelley doesn't want the mother of her ex and the town gossip Missy to buy the inn. Miles has been running the inn with Shelby's grandmother before her death, so obviously the two of them had a good relationship.
Okay.
And it's Shelby's actual grandmother.
Okay.
So it's his ex step grandmother.
Something.
Yeah, whatever. She left it to them as long as they both run it together for 6 months. And it's right before this reading of the will that we found out he's been in love with Shelby since high school. Yeah, while they were step siblings. Shelby meets Abigail, our third point of view, and the owner of the bookshop. And it's a bookshop or bookstore, coffee shop, cafe, obviously. Who just finished meeting a construction worker who was in town for a job and came in for a new book by Abigail's favorite author, obviously. So my beef with this, besides the cliches, is how is this guy then able to come in every morning if he's in construction? Mm-hmm. I have a brother-in-law that's in construction. They are on the job site early. Yeah. You have a husband that is a plumber. They get to the job site early to beat the heat.
Yeah.
This is summertime, and you're telling me he can be at the store at 9?
At 6.
Yeah. And you're telling me he can be at this bookshop at 9 and every single morning and be in construction?
He must be on his lunch.
Yes. Let's see.
What sucks, Aaron takes an 11:30 lunch, and whenever he goes back, he only has 3 hours left of work.
That sounds like Matthew. Yep. Okay, so
I take an 11 o'clock lunch, and whenever I go back, I have 5 hours.
You still have 5 hours. Yeah.
It sucks.
Right. No, I'm with you. At 56% of the way through, we get introduced to a new potential love interest for Abigail. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you about this scene because it is awful. So she comes out. She is unloading stuff she's brought books from, they're in her trunk. She's putting them in the bookshop.
Okay.
He is out there rummaging in her trunk. And yeah, Yeah, and she's like, oh my God, I'm about to get robbed. Oh God, because he's this sketchy looking guy dressed all in black. He's got hair that covers like half of his face. And I know we're not supposed to profile, but it's easy to profile when you're a woman and you see a man rummaging through your trunk.
Yeah.
It's easy to profile. So she profiles him and she's like, oh, please don't rob me. I'm just at this bookstore. I'll take all the money in my wallet if you want. Just, leave me alone. And he was like, I'm not stealing from you. He said, a chipmunk jumped into your trunk because it saw a hawk flying around and was trying to get away from it. There is no car that has a trunk low enough to the ground to where a chipmunk could climb. Are you joking?
And also, was the trunk already open?
Yeah, the trunk was open. She was unloading things and taking them into the bookstore. But and also, this is right in the middle of town. You're telling me a hawk is looking for food right in the middle of town in a chipmunk? It sounds like if it was going to get any food, it would go to some of the eateries.
Yeah.
Instead of looking for a chipmunk that has miraculously jumped 3 feet into the trunk of this car. And this guy is just happened to see it, and he's trying to fish him out. Does Anne-Marie Meyer really expect us to believe that? That's physically possible? I don't understand.
I guess so.
Also, why are we getting another trope forced down our gullets at 56% of the way through the book?
Why do some authors do that? They force every single trope.
Because this one's enemies to lovers, because they start fighting about it, and he storms off, and it's so obviously going to end up enemies to lovers, where he has a traumatic past he hasn't faced yet, because later we see that his hair is hiding a scar on his face, and he has a defensive reaction to a glass plate shattering. So it's so obvious what the trope's going to be, but it's every single trope is the fake dating at the beginning with the football player.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is never mentioned again. Well, actually, he's mentioned, but it's in passing. Oh, I should reach out to him and tell him that I'm not going to do that anymore because I found the love of my life in my ex-stepbrother. It's just in passing there at the end, right? So here we are getting another one. And he's somehow the roommate of the current love interest of Abigail.
Okay.
Yeah. The construction worker. How do they know each other? He also has a lot of money because he has expensive wine in his fridge. How do they know each other? So much to the point that the construction worker is comfortable taking his expensive wine whenever Abigail comes over for a date. He takes that expensive wine out of the fridge, and it's the roommates. He's either just a really bad roommate. No, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. Abigail's sister so obviously has postpartum depression, and it's not confirmed at all, but it's so obviously that, why are you trying to act like we don't know exactly what that is? It's so obvious.
Yeah.
Anyway. Besides the fact that Miles is in love with his ex-stepsister, Bro also has masculinity issues because he doesn't feel like he can ask any of the women in town for help doing his 2-year-old daughter's hair because that would be weird. But dating your ex-stepsister isn't?
Yeah. Make that make sense.
Pick your weird. Also, he sees Shelby watching him work out while he's in the garage and she's over at the cottage. And instead of doing the sexy thing and ignoring it until he can tease her about it later, he decides to do the unsexy thing and flex at her across the yard. Gag! Gag! There's
no way.
Yes. He looks at her and starts flexing.
Oh.
Tell me that's not the most cringeworthy thing a guy can do.
How could you find the love of your life in that?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Why are guys like this? Shelby, one of the main characters, is insufferable. Like, one minute she doesn't want to be back in her hometown, and then the other she's, oh, so glad to be back. But then she also didn't want people to know that she came from a small town in the South, you know, because she was hiding her accent. But, then she's embracing it. Oh, my God. Oh, God. She doesn't want to be in the inn because there are too many memories of her grandmother. She can't handle it. Except she walks in for breakfast on the very first day into the inn in her skimpy pajamas. Be so for real. Seems like she got comfortable real quick. Also, she pushes Miles to go on a date with a girl when he makes it abundantly clear he doesn't want to, but then gets jealous when he goes. Like, he made it clear. You had the option to stop what you were doing, and you did not stop it. You just kept going. Oh my gosh. That girl from the date later tells Shelby that she and Miles had sex after the date, but Miles tells her it's a lie. But why would this random girl lie about having sex with him? It's his ex-stepsister. Why would she think?
Right.
Why would she try to make an ex-stepsister jealous? Like, that doesn't make any sense. It's never explained. After she tells Shelby that, Shelby gets drunk with Abigail, and Miles has to pick them up and take Abigail home, then Shelby. She wakes up scared that something is at her door scratching, so she calls Miles, and he comes to get her and take her in the inn because he can't protect her and his daughter when they're in separate places, which is the snippet from social media where I got this book recommendation from. That was the snippet. It was at like 96% of the way through the book. And also, I can tell you, whenever I went to rate this and put it on Goodreads, there were a lot of people that rated it the same as me, and they were like, the snippet from social media got me. They were like, it was not worth getting to that snippet. It was not worth it. It gave us nothing. And I know I said I needed to stop reading the reviews, but I wanted to see if anybody else felt the same way, and they sure did. So, the book ended with Belle's mom, like his daughter's mom coming back, his baby mama coming back. Why? We barely heard of this woman. It was so forced and so random. I hated it. There's just so many. The biggest thing is, why are they pursuing a relationship with their ex-step sibling? I don't understand why that is like, that's not okay. That's weird. I originally gave 2 stars because it wasn't as bad as Heir of Blood and Moonlight, but after composing these notes, I couldn't bring myself to leave it at 2, and I moved it down to a 1 star. It is a 3.5 overall. That is too high. It's on Libby, but don't even waste your, it's 7 hours of your life you'll never get back. Don't even waste your time. It's not worth it. I waited months for this book. I was in line for months with this book. And as I was pulling it up, there were 19 people already waiting. It's not worth it. I don't understand. This USA Today best-selling author gave us that pile of dog crap. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I could write a book. So, okay. That was my Truly Madly Deeply.
Lord have
That
mercy.
was 2025's Truly Madly Deeply. Hopefully the only
one.